Sup everybody, this is Karak with ACG, swiggity swooty, I'm coming for that booty. What does that mean? That means that in 2018, reviews that aren't 2 minutes long or filled with sponsored bullcrap will end up filling the channel. It also means covering games like Nantucket, which sounds a little bit like something you'd yell when you stub your toe and kids are around, but it's not. It's a whaling game. That's right, somebody's captured the Harry Potter-like magic of jumping into a rickety-ass boat with questionable floating values and hightailing it after whales. Because nothing really says gaming like slaughtering hundreds of creatures because they have the unmitigated audacity to come up for life-giving breath. Let's kill something, shall we? Nantucket will be out on Steam on January 18th for $14.99. As always, if you like the video, maybe subscribe. So here's my review for Nantucket. Moby Dick 2, The Revengeing, Ishmael Isn't a Breakfast Food, and Pirate Dice Standoffs. Graphics are up first. I think it's important to remember that Nantucket is a budget title, and by budget I mean incredibly small, and while you do have the occasional comic book influenced cutscene, for the most part you are looking down at a small representation of whatever boat you've pilfered, or hitting little icons to roll dice in your card battle game system, or sailing away your days and lives through the little map that is the main part of the game. But that doesn't mean it's actually bad. In fact, I sort of dig this presentation, from the old worn look of the art to the various cards that pop up on the game world's ocean to inform you of whales, storms, or other hazards. It's not high-tech, and it doesn't really set out to be. This is a game based in a time where men were lucky if they came back ashore with the same number of friggin' appendages, and for the most part it looks like that. If there is one complaint I have, it's a small one, but it's the font. It doesn't always match up, and sometimes you have a skill or a number next to an attribute or other listing that don't really look cohesive. It's a small quibble though. Oh wait, actually I do have one more, and that is the fact that the effects for the dice, like attacking, are really incredibly basic looking, and it's the one spot where maybe a little spit and polish could have elevated the package looks overall. And of course when it comes to looks, we all know prettier is better, and in the end Nantucket looks okay. It doesn't really push your system, so any card that you can get in the last couple years is going to run this just fine. I think it's not bad for what they are trying to do. It's not necessarily great either. Sound, music, and voice.
Twice. By the Lord, for my blasphemous promise to hunt Moby Dick.
And let's do sound first, and it's actually pretty average. Listen, it's a card-based game, so you're not going to be circling around other ships firing off a car factory worth of metal at the enemies. It's, for the most part, pretty sedate, and while that is fine, would have actually liked a little bit more to elevate that. More during the battles, more during the downtimes, just more. And the game could have really been helped with more environmental sounds in the towns and areas that can get a bit repetitive over the long period of time you play it. And let's do voice next. There is voice, and while it's not perfect, I was actually surprised in a title at this cost and just overall at this presentation value that there was, and for the most part everyone gives their gusto, from the speeches and emotional moments of the starting cutscenes to the chanties sung as you take the USS Screwed for Life into Deep Blue. It's not bad, and while accents seem to come and go a little bit, overall it did one thing that voice is supposed to do, and that's help the atmosphere of the game. And of course that brings us to music. It's not bad, but it's a bit basic, and it doesn't matter if you're in the towns buying alcohol and wood for repairing a vessel, or if you're deep in the middle of the ocean somewhere overextending your life away. It can get a bit repetitive. Not to say it's bad, it's just a bit bland, and while it captures the pirate swagger in some of its tracks, or a bit of thunderous bass in a battle tune, it just didn't really do much for me. And of course that brings us to gameplay and a bit about the story. So you play as Captain Ishmael of a whaling vessel a couple years after the events of Moby Dick. As the captain of the fine ship, you get to go out and perform quests, upgrade your character, join into battle with pirates, and of course slaughter the most evil and egregious enemies of goodness on Earth, whales. But to do that, you gotta travel. Let's talk about that for a second, because it needs a number of small items to be successful, like, water and food and wood to repair the boat, and things to keep the seamen happy. And since you can't stow away a ton of prostitutes on board, you end up shoring up their good nature with, of course, alcohol. Now, all those items can be bought in various seaside locations. Travel itself is actually pretty well handled, with wind taken into account as you travel from spot to spot, and a good gale easily being the difference with you arriving with everyone intact to you arriving with half your crew dead from basically running out of water and trying to drink their own pee. Because listen, back then was a dangerous time. Crap, I left port, and on the same day 2 dudes came down with malaria, we hit a massive storm and had to chop someone's leg off. I'm pretty sure it was like 50 feet from the friggin' dock before the USS Friday the 13th started to have its initial bad voyages. But to me, I actually like this difficulty setting, but if you're not very strategic and you don't run when you can, expect to see the game over sign again and again and again and again. Also, while traveling, you have the ability to move people around and some items on the ship to sort of change stats like movement speed. While uncovering the areas of the map, you engage in quests in the main game and some of the characters as well. And the main game has you following the storyline connected to Ahab's Curse and Moby Dick. I admit I actually really like these different little story elements. They'd be little cards that would flash up and give you a problem you had to solve, while some really had no negative element in their execution, others were a lose-lose kind of situation and could result in getting various traits attributed to both you and your men. Soon my captain was deep into his travels, didn't drink, which pissed everybody off, was incredibly lazy, and also kept all the money for himself. And I crewed a vessel that was basically manned by a group of sailors who didn't need to worry about buying shoes in pairs because I just kept chopping limbs off. If there's one issue I noticed as I played throughout the game, it's that there didn't seem to be a lot of different items to trade. The game's not really about that, but I would have liked some fleshing out, because during different moments it makes you think that no one back then knew that buying low and selling higher somewhere isn't just the purview of drug dealers who sample their own products. But that certainly doesn't offset the many good parts. First, the battle system is actually easy to understand, where each character has a custom dice representing their skills and they roll it on their turn in battle. They may do damage, may allow for others to redo moves, may lower enemies' abilities, and a variety of other elements. And I love the fact that every sailor has different skills and different classes that you can pick from, and each one sort of adjusts as you go along. Now, performing some of these actions and basically just adventuring lets you and your crew increase in your stats, and most importantly, money, which allows for you to buy newer and better equipped ships, or trade out your sailors for ones with skills that more better fit your overall crew. For the price, I'd say Nantucket offers a fairly focused experience, and it's all the stronger for it. It's not perfected by any means, but this specific time frame and actions may grab you, and if it does, I don't really see you being disappointed with the offerings there. It really does feel right in line with the price. Fun factor: you know, I enjoyed this, and yes, I know someone's going to call me a monster for liking a game about whaling, but that's sort of like a homeless person yelling at me because my house casts a shadow. Nantucket allowed me to get my captain on, and whether you're the asshat that counts all the grapes as you hand them out during game night, or you're all about sharing, you can do all that. You can be the bad captain, you can drink, be lazy, and chop everyone's legs off, even if you just suspect it might need to be. Or take care of your people, spread the wealth, and hunt down Moby Dick like a goddamned whale-seeking, scurvy-ridden missile. You can do all that within the confines of the game, and the battle system and its various little elements and elemental effects fit right in. Even when I was getting sunk every 30 seconds like that kid we all know who plays Battleship but can't stop touching the ship so you know exactly where they are, I actually enjoyed it. It's a bit difficult at times, for sure, and sometimes upgrades don't really announce themselves in noticeable ways, but rarely do we get a game where slaughtering a happy-go-lucky family of friggin' narwhals is celebrated with drunken revels and not some B-level actor trying to get a moment's spotlight because they're too old and crust-ridden to accidentally release an amateur webcam video. So as you guys know, I rate games on a buy, wait for sale, rent, or never touch it again rating scale, with rent being replaced by deep sale on the PC. This is a buy, $14.99. It's very focused. I found myself liking it, though, despite having no predilection for actually pirating whale blubber. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a unique period. It's a unique style game. And yes, it does feel a bit budget. That's the price that it's at. But when it comes down to it, the hours versus cost here is actually incredibly high. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Maybe check out Twitter. Also, remember, I do have a Patreon, so if you want to see reviews like this that aren't 2 minutes long or filled with sponsored bullcrap, you can always check me out there. Peace out, and enjoy the rest of your week.